So, first of all, we have the next game night. We have the next game night on the 28th. That's like 2 Fridays from now, I think. Yeah, it is. We're trying to plan out in advance who's bringing what, just because last time we had more consoles than we had screens, and we could have brought more screens, but we didn't because we were anticipating less. And also we want to make sure we plan things well. So, does anyone absolutely know for sure what they're bringing to the game night? Good. So
when is it?
2 Fridays from now.
Okay.
The 28th. Yeah. What do you bring?
I'm bringing an Xbox with Rock Band and all the controllers, and it's got a hard drive with a bunch of Rock Band DLC on it.
Who was the guy who said he had 2 Xboxes? Are you gonna bring them both?
Yes, I'm bringing them both.
That'll be awesome.
Along with 2 copies of Halo Reach, so set up like 4v4 games across rooms.
That'll be awesome.
That's so rich.
So, what are you bringing?
And me, I'm bringing the usual. I'm bringing the Wii 15-inch LCD screen and probably Rhythm Heaven, Kirby, and Sin and Punishment.
Okay. Harvey?
Nintendo 64 and miscellaneous games.
You want me to bring my N64 games?
How many
Yes,
controllers do
bring
you
them.
have?
Which ones?
All of them.
What if you have Mario 64 and Pokemon Stadium and Mario Kart?
I have Pokemon Stadium and Mario Kart. You can bring Mario 64, but I don't, unless one person just wants to play with themselves. Speedrun, 20 minutes. Everybody does it.
Anyone else bring anything?
I can technically bring.
For sure.
I can technically bring like Katamari and a PS2.
Oh wait, but his is
Oh, cool.
Anyways,
So, are you actually going to be at the game night?
I can probably go to this one.
Okay. So, is that it for everyone who's definitely sure they're bringing something to the next game night? I'll be bringing my Wii again. I might bring my TV.
I can bring a TV if there's a shortage. It's only a 19-inch though.
I'll probably bring my stuff in advance.
You guys know Rory, right?
What?
Everyone contact Rory. Apparently he's got a big LCD TV from Senior Project. He's an argument with Greg whether or not it should be donated to IEEE. Bug him to donate to IEEE so we can keep it in here for game night.
I'll send an email about that out.
Everyone's
Copy this message and send it to him. And
Everyone, I have your emails by 2.5 hours. You just keep sending him emails.
So, do you have Brawl?
So I have what?
Do you have Brawl on your Wii?
Yeah, the hack bra. That's mine.
Doesn't this also have a copy of Brawl as well?
Yeah.
I have Brawl.
Somewhere around.
Yeah, there are enough brawls for everyone.
Regular.
Have enough those, so
I also have the original Smash Bros. On my Wii.
Nobody remembers that game.
I hear that.
What?
I'm joking, I'm joking.
Okay.
We can play Smash Band on PS3.
Next order of business. Did everyone get the? Who's on our list, or who's not on our list? Everyone's on our list.
Yeah, the email list.
The email list.
I think I just joined it.
Well, we've been on Saturday. I sent out a giant weekly summary.
Yeah.
I think I saw it on the blog.
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to mention was the IEEE is having their first meeting this Friday at 5:30. And if they're actually doing a project where they're building a Mortal Kombat cabinet. It's going to be modded, and they're going to put in the lobbies in here in the building. And I think, as far as I know, they're making it so that it looks like the professors are fighting each other.
Has anyone who here done ECE classes? It's like the doctor, you met Dr. Cox?
I took one.
Riding a Harley? Okay, so basically what I'm aware is happening here is they're building like proper arcade cabinets, full-on cabinets. They're going to be running proper computer inside though, and there's going to be 2 of them. Here's the important thing, budget's already been put in place. They're building the cabinets and they need help doing, there's a lot of game design actual work. They're using, there's like this Mortal Kombat engine where you can build the game style pretty easily. But it's, they need help doing character design, sprites, artwork, cabinets themselves, getting up, assembling them, getting everything wired up, looking for controls, paint, basically color or paint schemes on them. It's basically a full encompassing thing here for both game design and game arcade cabinet design. So, I mean, the cabinet specs have already been laid out. It's just about putting the thing together and making it look good. And so that's the project that Max is going to be presenting on Friday.
Yeah, so if you're interested in that, go to the meeting this Friday, the IEEE meeting.
There'll probably be free pizza if you show up anyway. So.
Okay.
Go for that.
So this is that. We also talked about game night to see if anyone might be able to bring something, or just kind of announce their members sign up, blah blah blah, bureaucratic stuff. Make sure you cover the server, by the way, upstairs.
Oh yeah.
Question about IEEE. For the game night, is there going to be an IEEE meeting and then game night, or?
No, just game night.
Okay.
Normal. Everyone shows up. Also, possible club use of room, ECE, if you want to talk like that.
Yeah, it's on my list here.
Okay.
I'm basically copying from the weekly summary that we sent out. So what he was just talking. Well, first of all, the game cabinet. I wanted to say this is probably the only chance you get to work on a real arcade game. Like, not just making an arcade game for your computer, but actually making it for the context of arcade style play. So that's really interesting. Don't miss out on that. Well, the other opportunity that I wanted to mention was that the IEEE has a server here, and we're discussing turning it into a gaming server, and we kind of need people to set that up if anyone's interested in being an admin on the server and organizing those games, figuring out which games to put on the server, etc.
Want me to cover server specs and what it is? Or?
Sure.
Okay, so basically I have a server upstairs that I brought in. The hacks people let me put it upstairs with the static IP address. And it doesn't do anything right now. It uses power and does steady at home kind of computations because it's like, it does nothing else. So the server is this IBM server. It's going to have, it's static IP. They got it on gigabit now, sort of like over 150 megabits per second down and up. So the server's got dual Xeon 3.6 gigahertz with hyper-threading, so it counts sort of like 4 cores, but officially it's 2 real core processors. And it's got 8 gigs of RAM on it, running Windows Server 2003. So Windows Server, rated hard drives and everything, full redundant power supplies, no backup battery, because apparently all the batteries are shot in the backup batteries up there. Keep in mind, this is a club that everyone left and kind of gave us the code and doesn't maintain much, except in the summer when one of those boxes goes down, they come in all pissed off and head back to their jobs. So I have a server in there. If you guys want to do something with it, that's great, because it's not doing anything right now. We can't let everyone start running around controlling it. They'd be able to do
Yeah.
people probably get access. So at least when I need to go on there to maybe upload files to it and have it use, I know what's going on with it. The log files, etc. That's basically servers upstairs running in the room. It's a great space heater, but nothing else. And the internet connection is better than it's like living in Sweden. So it's basically, we have this fantastic internet-less connection. You could probably run, let's say, any sort of source-based game, game server, and probably get a couple hundred players, no problem.
I say we do an ITS.
Is anyone interested in this?
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like, interested in adminning?
Yeah, 20 players with CPUs and RAM, max.
Yeah.
The server should, I run a Minecraft server, and they should not be running on Java.
Okay, so maybe we can talk about it after the meeting. So, does anyone have to leave like early? Any of you? Okay, that's good. So, the other thing, we mentioned the idea of the GameDev Club becoming an official ECE club, because I'm actually not sure how it's all working, but the ECE department is not doing very good in terms of student count and member retention. So having more clubs under them would really help them in terms of recruitment and stuff. And plus, it would, if we do become an official club, we could possibly have access to this room. We won't have to actually be dependent on the IEEE to use this room.
It's the joint share the room. If you
Yeah.
guys become, you probably get Tharp. Tharp says he's fine being your advisor. It's your ECE-based advisor. It becoming an officially sign-in under this group means you can get access to the room, your own codes, no problem.
And that means we could probably well, if we get access to the room, we're gonna hold what you call open hours.
Yeah, well, see, we hold open hours, and I
Yeah.
believe these will be once our meeting with officer time's down. So the idea is that the room's open, anyone, even if you're not even part of a club, anyone can stop by and hang out and just do work in here. But what it also gets you, if you guys sort of became like a sister club, we all share the resources, you guys could, tables aren't doing much, if you want to bring your own equipment, set up your own sort of like dev station back there, you're welcome to go for it. Basically, first, compared to checking out a room, you guys could actually take, have a space to work on campus, lock your own equipment on here if you needed to. We control the lockers from the third floor as well if you need to keep stuff over here, and that way you're not constantly calling stuff in all the time if you're trying to work on programs. Or maybe you need special hardware to set your laptop.
Yeah, and that'll be just really great if you're like working on a project. You can just bring it in here, get people to look at it, maybe even ask for help. And it's just a great community space to bring the club closer together. Stuff.
How soon can we get this done?
We need to get that sorted out, but we're just throwing it out there, telling you that it might happen.
We gotta put it up to the IEEE meeting as well, kind of present ideas. You guys have to be okay with it, the rest of our officers have to be okay with it. The idea here is that we kind of just co-sign you as ECE as well, in terms of the way the club's registered. I'm not sure how that would work, trying to figure that out. But it gives you, because you're technically ECE, which means we cannot give you door codes without you being part of the building, part of the department. So if you want to have access to the room, that's what we have to do. And I'd love to see this room get used. I mean, we use it, but there's a lot of times where you have meetings in here, it's kind of a great general space where we can keep interesting things in here and not worry about them being broken, compared to anywhere else on campus that are just public spaces.
Yeah, so are there any CS students or any students who tend to hang out like in the other side of campus that find this idea pretty annoying?
Oh.
Find the idea of going back and forth between the two sections annoying?
Yeah, no, that's not an issue.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Cool. So Microsoft is holding an app contest for Windows 8. Basically, they want you to develop an app for Windows 8 in 30 days. Like the contest starts around now and it ends in about a month. You can, if you're a computer science or ECE student, you can actually download Windows 8 for free. I downloaded it and I'm running it on a virtual machine because I don't want to upgrade to it.
With good reason.
Yeah, I've been trying it out and I just don't like the interface.
Like the not Metro one.
The Metro one and the not Metro one.
No. It's not Metro
It's
anymore.
not Metro anymore?
It's not called Metro because Metro is a German supermarket or something.
It's so sad.
Consumers are gonna get scared.
I forgot what it's
confused.
called, but yeah.
Have you heard about
Metro or you left from
Apple sued a site called a.pl? It's a Polish
Right.
deli
Yeah, something like that.
because Apple sued them saying consumers are getting confused by their name. And
Are you talking about the software company or the Polish deli?
Wait, the Polish deli is suing Apple?
No, I saw a lot of great jokes about this. Like,
It's
I wanted
terrible.
Yeah. It's mostly because these big companies hire law firms to do
Right.
things, and if they don't sue somebody every once in a while, then they don't feel like they're being productive.
Yeah, but didn't Apple just come off a big lawsuit with Samsung?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, haven't they reached a
They're
quota yet?
they're not.
Nope.
they're
Gonna have
not
3
done
more
yet.
lawsuits by the end of the year, boys.
So yeah, the original email I sent out about the Microsoft contest was actually very broken, but the version that was included in the weekly summary that I posted on the site this weekend is I went through great pains to make that readable and to make the links right, because the links were all messed up on that one. You clicked on one link and it brought you to the wrong one. And, there was one link that I could not find. It was a link to the national. They have a Facebook group for the U of A contest, so that you can find partners to team up with for the contest. But they also have a national group. I could not find the national group at all. I looked everywhere, and like I'm not gonna put that link up because I can't find it. It's their fault. I put something about the ACM. They're holding a contest this Saturday. The ICPC, which is the International something. The International Collegiate Programming Contest. I had to look it up. I'm not sure what that is. I saw it coming up on the ACM Google group, which I'm subscribed to. So if you're interested in that, check out the ACM website. There's a link to it in the summary. Is anyone planning on joining the Windows 8 app contest or the ACM contest?
I might
Nobody.
do ACM.
I'm probably doing ACM.
Oh, cool. Tell us how that's like.
Okay.
I'm interested.
You can just do it.
I don't want to
No
do
time.
it.
That's a very.
You don't want to wake up at 8 on a Saturday? What's wrong with you?
It's
You
like
got
that
free
thing
sandwiches,
since
so-
Saturday morning cartoon.
Free sandwiches?
Yeah. That one time got this one.
I have too many.
Yeah.
So I think that's all of the news. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah.
Some miscellaneous Facebook posts.
Yeah. That. Oh, I wanted to ask. Did anyone actually read the summary that I posted?
Yeah.
So what do you think about it? Was it helpful? Do you like it?
Extremely
Do you wanna see more?
Awesome. I mean, I was able to, because of the way it was laid out, I could just read the title, say, oh, I want to look at that and read about it, and then if I want to read about it more, I can click the link. It also, like, it summed everything up in the week, so I didn't have to click everything and do it, so.
It's better than scrolling down and like, oh, what was the post before?
Yeah, also, because on Facebook, like, the things, like, end up scrambling up because people post comments and stuff. You're able to tell what's current and what's not.
So
And it categorized
yeah,
everything.
I put a lot of effort into formatting this just to make it that easy.
Yeah.
Because this was originally going to be sent out through the emails, and I'm like, I hate getting badly formatted emails, so I'm going to make this really nice. But then I decided to put it on the website because it's nice to have it visible on the website where anyone can just come.
And
And-
it's there and it can't be deleted from your email.
Yeah, it's also like a catalog of our history.
Yeah.
That's
I think
cool.
I put that on my Facebook comment.
So I'm not sure if I have enough time to maintain these emails though. So I was wondering if maybe somebody would take them up. I sent you an email about that. And you
Okay.
probably haven't responded.
Nope.
No.
I'll get on
Actually,
it.
no, I don't think
Did
I
you
sent
send it to
No,
me?
you sent, you
I
did
think
send
I
it.
don't notice
I
that.
I sent it. No, I sent it to the club and I put a comma and I sent it to your email at the same time. So
Well, and
it wasn't
Okay.
a
at the
separate
end-
email.
Okay.
At the end of the like entire thing, you're like, we may be looking for a webmaster or possibly Dylan if he wants to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could probably do something like that.
I mentioned the idea of, because the Facebook summary was really annoying. I had no idea. Like, we posted 18 different things on Facebook. That's a lot for a week. And copying and pasting them and putting them up on the
Yeah, that's
post
kind of
was
like
annoying.
tedious looking.
But if you wanted to, you can look up Facebook API and automate it somehow. I actually played around with that once when I was trying to
Yeah, I
figure
can
out how to
see
automate the infamous leaderboard.
Mhm.
I couldn't automate it. But you could definitely do it this. You know HTML, right?
Yeah.
Good, that'll come in handy.
Kid, you're on your own.
So, I think, is that it? I feel like I'm forgetting one thing, but I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, the resources page. We finally started it. Someone just requested to join the Facebook group right now. I'm gonna add them. Cool. So, your name is Xavier?
Yeah.
Hello. Everyone say it in unison. So yeah, we got a new resources page. I'm gonna slowly fill it out with some of the things that I have, but I want to see other people asking to, like, requesting that certain things get added to this page.
Mhm.
The page is really, like I wrote in the description of the page that it's intended for resources that we tend to share over and over again. So if you find yourself sharing something or saying that everyone should watch this and we should probably give this to everybody forever, then yeah, it probably deserves to be on the resources page. So there's already some information about the ProQuest site. I found, while I was writing this page, I actually found the link that you can visit that'll automatically give you a little proxy with the U of A so that you can view ProQuest without being on campus. It's so nice having that link. I used to set up a VPN and that was annoying. Yeah, that's good. That's everything. Usually we talk about projects and how they're going, but Tyler has a presentation and he prepared for it and everything. So I'm gonna let him come up, and if we have time we can talk about project updates later.
Hang on. Still need to set up the projector.
Yeah. Do we
Everyone wanted to hear a basic introduction into game development, and this is a good place to start. Here we go. First thing to realize is that game development is more of an art than a science, so if you're really looking for a nice step-by-step formalization of how to make awesome games, you're kind of out of luck. But the reason you should listen to this presentation is because there are certain things that you can do and certain things that are not advisable. And then there's also a nice template you can look at. So as you start to just practice and get into game development, you can decide what works for you and what doesn't. Maybe rearrange things, stuff like that. All right, and like we have here on the slide, the wrong way to do it is to think that you can just do things one step at a time, just always the same way, and it'll always do something great. That's not really realistic. The right way to do it is to take into consideration like your talents, your skills, your resources, and those of your team, and then work from there. Right, and this is sort of a summary of that. This presentation is really meant for beginners to game development. Like you've never tried to work on a game, or you've never succeeded on working on a game. And these are reasons why you might get into game development. So you want to express yourself, you want to do it as a career, you want to just feel good about having accomplished a large project. These are things not to do. Like I said, this is not a comprehensive guide. There's really not enough time in 15 minutes to say this is what you need to do to make every game ever. You shouldn't do it for fun, all right? That's something mildly controversial, but really game design is difficult. Game development, that is difficult. And if you're gonna get into it with the idea that everything is gonna be easy, everything's gonna be awesome and just work out automatically, that's probably the wrong thing to do.
It's not the same as playing games.
Right.
What? It has some serious business elements.
Yeah.
Like that old commercial about game design school.
Yeah.
Right. We need to type up the graphics on level 3. Oh, yeah, that's a
Right. And you shouldn't do it just because, you know, all your friends are making games, so, I might as well do that too. That's also a very bad reason. And you also shouldn't do it just because you have a really great idea for a game, because lots of people have great ideas for games. It's still very hard to take that idea from just the ether and turn it into a fun game. All right. Here's sort of a suggested path you might take for the game creation path. Yeah, that. All right. First, we have an idea. You come up with an idea. All right. Then you do the administration stuff, so like finding your team, recognizing what skills you have, setting realistic deadlines, things like that. You have Yes. So you make everything as sort of on the business end to make sure you're set for the creating games. So you get your resources and all that during that time. The prototype. The prototype is just sort of an initial concept of your game. You just test maybe one concept or something at a time. I'm going to go more into depth in these later, but The loop is just the idea of agile development, which is you have your prototype, and then you analyze your prototype and see what's wrong with it, see what works with it, maybe what could make it better, and then you go back to the prototype and do that forever. Or rather, until your deadline comes. Yes, you do that forever, until you die. Yes, there are no exit conditions.
5, 6, and 7 do not exist.
Yeah. Step 5 is when your deadline starts getting close, you want to exit this loop and start just doing the final polishes, finalizing dialogue or transitions between scenes or levels or whatever making your game feel more professional involves. 6 is obligatory and meaningless. 7 is 7 is just whatever your goal for creating the game was. If you want to make money, profit, that would be a good thing to do. If you just want to get it out to as many people as you want, that's what you would do. Right.
Psychonauts?
The idea. All right. I wish I could go back. Go back. So, like I said, this is a suggestion. Some people switch 1 and 2. So you'll start with admin stuff, get your team together, and then come up with an idea. It really just depends on style.
And maybe 7's optional.
Right.
I start with 3. I play with stuff until I get it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good.
All right. The reason I put the idea first is because every successful project I've worked on has put the idea first. We knew what we were doing, and then we got everything together. So, like I said, know what you're trying to accomplish. So you're making a game. Okay, you want to be a little more specific than that. I'm making an RTS about bacteria. Yes. All right. And that leads me directly into the second one, this acronym everyone's seen before, keep it simple, stupid. Don't do a project sponge. So you want to keep your ideas at this phase pretty vague. You know, it's in the awkward place between complete vagueness and absolute detail. So you want to be specific enough that you have an idea of what you're doing, but you don't want to hash out all the details right now. Like it says, don't get bogged down with details.
Basically, it should be fleshed out enough to make a prototype out of it.
Right.
But you shouldn't be designing level 50.
Right. And then once you have an idea, don't spend too much time second guessing your idea, just go with it. Once you have an idea, run with it. There's always plenty of time to go back and change stuff later, but usually once you have decided on a decent idea, it'll work out. Alright, the admin stuff. Alright, so you get your team together. Alright, it's important to get people that either complement your skill set or just bring something to the table that you don't, because otherwise you end up with 5 programmers on your team and nobody can draw. That's kind of a problem. You want to work out which tools you're using before you start working on the game. Project Sponge did this badly. For 3D games, this could be more extensive of a section, because you need, what are your modelers going to do? What are you using for textures? What sort of engine are you using, and so on and so forth.
Possibly animators, I guess.
Right, as well. You could have a separate animation suite. That's if you have a lot of money. So the third one is very important, and I'm bad at doing this, but it's really important to set your deadlines. The deadlines are sort of your motivation for doing things. If you don't set deadlines, then you never really accomplish anything, because there's no sense of urgency. Set up communication. That's also very important and something that's much neglected. You need to set up communication within your team. Make sure that people have time to work on the project and can talk to each other. Because if you don't communicate, then you're basically wasting your time. Everyone's doing their separate thing, and there's no coordination. So You do want to hand out responsibilities when possible. You don't always want to say, all right, you have to do this and this other person has to do this one thing, but you want to make sure people know in general what they're responsible for, so that if they find themselves not doing something, they can say, okay, I'll do this other thing that's sort of related to what I'm supposed to be doing. The prototype. All right, the prototype is just a small sort of version of your game or a feature of your game. So you want to start by testing like one idea or one proposed mechanic at a time. Or if you have a large enough team, you could do this in parallel. So like it says, start small, identify the main ideas. That's very important. If you came up with these ideas in this plan, you want to make sure which ones are the really important ones and test those first. Because if those don't work, you have to go back and start over. You want to do it as fast as possible. So a lot of people take the waterfall approach, which depends on who you ask, has a different definition. For me, that just means you plan everything out from the beginning and then just do it all at once, basically, and smash it together, and it's a nightmare, and don't do that. What you want to do is use like a quick prototyping tool like GameMaker. I like GameMaker for prototyping. You could also, if whatever tools you're using support some sort of quick prototyping, quick way of throwing things together, you could use that instead. You want to break up tasks as much as possible. You don't want to just say, all right, we're going to have one huge prototype that has everything in it. That's kind of defeating the purpose. And you want to work with what you have. If what you have doesn't seem sufficient, probably you just need to be a little more creative or scope back your ideas, because while you can always go out and find more tools or more resources or something like that, in general, it's better to work with things that you're comfortable with or that are easy to access, rather than going out and finding all this awesome stuff that could work, but you have no idea how to use it.
I'll talk more about prototyping in the next meeting.
Right. This is just a bird's eye view of everything. The loop. This is what happens as you're prototyping and as you're analyzing things. So once you made your prototype, you want to see, what's wrong with it. Maybe get some play testers if you can. If not, you could do in-house play testing. That works. And then you just you concentrate on what's enjoyable about your game. It helps if you know a little bit about the game design at this point. I took a game design workshop, and there's apparently 7 types of fun. If you guys want to look into that, I'm sure the GDC still has it in their vaults, or you might be able to find something. It might be. You could. It's probably free somewhere. I do not support piracy. Anyways.
Zooming on camera.
All right. Yeah, like I said, you want to just look at your prototypes, play it a bit, see what works, what doesn't work, what's annoying, what's awesome. And just what could make it work better. Is there something that you keep trying to do and just the game doesn't let you, and that's frustrating? Then you might want to include a mechanic for that. And then just do it. So you really, once you've come up with this list, just throw it together. Don't worry about analyzing it too much after you've analyzed it already. So throw it together into a prototype, do it, then analyze it again, see what happens. All right, the polish or Polish, depending on what Google Images likes. All right, after you've gone through the loop a bunch of times and you started to have a pretty solid game that you've worked together, you're going to be approaching your deadlines. So you want to start doing your finishing touches, which, as I said before, is things like making sure everything is spelled correctly, making sure all your timing is good, there's no ugly like meshes being ripped or textures flying at the camera, and random explosions that don't make sense, although that could be part of your game, I don't know. Right. Alright, and the important part is once you're near deadline and near varies in definition depending on what your original timescale was, but in a few months typically for like a full game project. Once you're near the deadline, you want to make sure you don't add or take away any features. Once you've reached this point, you're pretty much done. Don't make major changes to your game or you're going to break it. And just you do anything that would make it look more professional, so it's ready to distribute. So if you were going to play the game and the game didn't do blah blah blah, then you probably should put blah 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 into the game. All right.
Polish is pretty much any tiny design problem. Like if someone says like, oh, that shade of blue isn't exactly right, but it's good enough, you might want to deal with that through polish.
Right.
It will fall under that category.
All right. The last step is profit. This is where you just you get your game out there. A lot of this, depending on the size of your group and what your goals are, should be happening sort of concurrently with development. So advertising, you don't start advertising your game after you make it. That's it's a little sketchy. Outreach. You want to essentially have your what am I saying? You want to have your customers or your followers already set up and excited for your game once you release it. You want to make sure your game is available when it's supposed to be. All right. There's a lot of issues with availability that new game developers don't really realize. Is they go out of their way, they build this this following, and then there's our game is released now, and then their links don't work, and you can't download any of their files, and then all of your following disappears. And so then you don't get money or you don't spread your game and anything like that.
And then there's the game that comes out very silently, like,
Right.
oh, like I remember that game. I was excited for it. What? It's out already? When did that happen?
Exactly.
Black Mesa.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it until they greenlit it, that it was even out yet.
Right. Right. And quality is just to make sure that your advertising is good. So you don't want you want your advertising to reflect your game. You don't want your advertising to cast your game in a bad light. So that's its own marketing category there. So you want your advertising to look professional. If it doesn't look professional, then people are going to think your game isn't professional and they're not going to pay attention to you anymore. So
It's also good to think about how you're going to market your game while you're making it, because if you're making a game that you can't even start to think about how will I explain this to somebody else, why would somebody want to play this game? Then you're probably not making a good game if you can't say that.
right.
As far as quality goes, like I realize you do want quality in your advertisements, but there is a point where like you kind of want to know who you're advertising to and to want it to be professional at the same time. I know Dead Space 2 had a huge problem with this because they advertised to like kids who couldn't buy the game. Basically, that was their whole thing. And they were just like, your parents will hate this
they're
game.
trying to advertise like a
Yes.
M-rated game to like
Right.
teens and stuff like that, and it was just
Right.
And it was
So-
just really lowbrow.
Same with Dragon Age 2, I believe.
But the game was so awesome.
The games
Actually,
were fine.
Dante's Inferno had a bad thing too, where they like hired fake protesters to like protest the game or something.
Right.
That was
It's
really
I
bad.
think it's sold okay though. It kind of says something about the
I don't know.
demographic.
Yeah, just the point.
Needless to say,
being,
it was EA.
that kind of
Okay.
gets me off.
All right. The last part of this would be say support for your game, because a lot of people don't do this, which is questionable. You want to give as much support for your game as you can, which is to say technical support. So you want to make sure that your game runs on whatever platforms you're supporting very easily. You don't want a 20-step README for installing your game. And also you want to be able to answer questions if possible about how to get your game to work, things like that. And you might not be able to afford like a customer service branch or hotline, something like that, but just a mature, frequently asked questions page would be good. maybe an email address or something where they can send questions, something like that.
One reason that it's really important to get feedback
Mhm.
from people for support and stuff is you can see what kind of problems they're running into over and over again, and then you can patch that. You can send an update where that's not an issue anymore, and it eliminates a huge chunk of the problems that people are having. So you need to be able to get those questions from people so you can see those patterns.
Right. And by doing this, you build up a reputation for making good quality games, because as you respond to feedback and improve and patch your games, people think, oh, they're really good at what they do. They actually care about their customers and their gamers.
Yeah, support is actually
it's a great way to build fans.
Right.
It's actually really integral in the rest of the process too.
Right.
Just like considering all of the different things that it's going to be out on, because PCs have so many insane combinations of graphics utilities and processors that you really have to test a lot of that before you put something out. Because I know a lot of people, they'll just like put it out and wait for the feedback before like trying to fix anything.
That's
and
bad.
That's really bad.
That's using the public as your alpha testers, and don't do that. People hate that. I hate that. You
Unless
hate
you're
that.
Minecraft.
Everyone hates that.
Unless you explicitly say that this is just an alpha version.
Right.
The same thing also happens on Android.
Yeah. If you offer a full release of your game, then it better be a full release of your game and not crash every 12 seconds. So that's all I have. So.